Welcome to episode 1214 of the Multifamily Collective. Tonight, let's talk about the window of tolerance. And I'm going to hold something up to the camera here. The window of tolerance. So let's start here. This is a narrow window of tolerance. And then over here, you have a wider window of tolerance. For those of you who are viewing or listening rather than viewing, it's basically two lines that run parallel to each other. In one case, they're very close to each other. In the other case, they're spread apart. And the window of tolerance is really those two scenarios are the beginning stages of your ability to tolerate something. And then later stages, your ability to tolerate something. And let's talk about this in the world of addiction for a second. So let's say you have an addiction to alcohol or drugs, or it doesn't matter. Just pick the vice. There's an addiction. You've been diagnosed with some sort of addiction, and your window of tolerance is very narrow in the beginning because you don't really have the tools to avoid participating in the addiction. You've not surrounded yourself with community. You've not been honest with yourself. You've not been honest with the community. You've not done the real work necessary to get yourself uh, the tools to manage your addiction. Because I believe this is one guy's opinion. I don't believe addiction, the propensity for addiction ever goes away. You just learn how to manage the addictions that you have in your life. And the window of tolerance on the other side, where the gap gets wider between those two lines, is once you've installed the tools, once you've surrounded yourself with the community, you've installed the tools, you've done the reps, that window of tolerance gets wider, and your ability to avoid falling into the trap of addiction or going back or having relapse or things of that nature gets better over time as you grow that window. So I hearken that back or liken that back to growing yourself as a leader in the multifamily space. There's this, everybody goes to work and they want to be the president of the company tomorrow. They want to be the vice president. They want to be the senior vice president. They want to be making the big decisions. They want to be in the room where all that kind of stuff is happening. But what you don't realize in the very beginning is that your narrow window of tolerance, your narrow window of experience doesn't afford you all of the insights and the things that are necessary for you to be an incredibly successful leader, because you just have not seen enough of the world, right? It's not because you're not capable. It's simply because you've just not seen enough, and you've not had the opportunity to participate in enough leadership reps or reps in leadership to actually make good informed decisions that will move a business forward. It doesn't mean you might not hit two or three here and there where you made good decisions to move the business forward, but on average, you're not going to make great decisions until you grow your window of tolerance wider, or your window of let's call it exposure to all the things necessary to at least get you adept at making decisions, whether you have a load of information or whether you have a little bit of information. But it takes time. A punchline here is you have this window of tolerance is very narrow at the beginning of your leadership journey, and it grows wider over time. Your job is to figure out where you can place yourself and where other leaders can place you in terms of mentorship, coaching, training, to widen that window so that when opportunity does present itself to be put into a leadership position or a position of responsibility where you're making decisions, whether it be big or small, what impact large or whole, or small and not so whole, you're ready. You're ready to do that. So think about your leadership journey as you're growing your window of tolerance, your window of exposure to thoughts, disciplines, routines, and ideas that will help inform you in terms of making decisions that move a business forward. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.